In a recent video, I introduced the Glowforge laser printer, and in this one I'm going to walk you through the web-based software and a few example projects. One note: because of the nature of web-based software, it's not only possible but likely that the interface will change over time. Therefore, what you see in this video may not reflect the current state of the software, but should still be useful enough to help you along. This is the default view when you log into the Glowforge web app. Up top there are links to this homepage, the project design catalog, the materials and replacement parts shop, community forums, and finally, support. You have three basic options for using the Glowforge. First, you can simply draw directly on the material, place it inside the Glowforge, and it will cut it. Second, you can provide a bitmap image, like a JPEG file, to engrave photos on materials. Third, and the most versatile, you can upload SVG files for cutting, scoring, and engraving. I personally use Adobe Illustrator for creating these files. There are certainly cheaper and simpler solutions out there, however. But while I do find Illustrator annoying at times, I also enjoy working with it. Let's take a moment to go over the interface you see. In the middle of the screen is the preview from inside of the Glowforge, and shows our piece of material. Along the edges of the preview are gray lines indicating the area we cannot work on. Up top we have a menu with the following options: an arrow tool, a move tool shaped like a hand, zoom controls, undo redo, project information, and finally other tools. The arrow tool is for selecting and manipulating items. The move tool works along with the zoom controls and allows you to zoom in with the camera and then move around the work area. Project information. This displays information about the product, such as name and date. If you purchase a design from the catalog, this area would contain instructions related to the design. Other tools. Here we can refresh the work area image or change the measurement units between inches and centimeters. In the upper left we see the type of material we are working on. Clicking the area will show us the proof grade materials list. If you are using proof grade materials, the Glowforge will have scanned the QR code on the material and automatically select the correct item here. If you are not using proof grade materials, you can select a similar item from here and the machine will use those presets, or you can click Use Uncertified Material and enter the material's thickness manually. Next is the Add Artwork button. Clicking it opens a file selection dialog, allowing us to select the file from the computer to upload. After the file is processed, we will see one or more items listed. These can be different layers of a single piece of imported artwork, or different pieces of artwork that we have added to the project. Each item here can be controlled separately from the others. Clicking an item brings up a menu. On this item, the software has decided that we want this engraved on the material. There are three settings here: Draft, SD, and HD. Think of these settings like you would printer settings. Draft quality is much faster to print, but can be pixelated. SD is better quality, and HD would be the highest quality. There's a trade-off here though. The higher the quality, the longer the engrave time. Cut is fairly obvious, so let's look at score. Similar to the engrave options, we have high quality and draft. Again, selecting the high quality option will produce a better final product, but will take more time. A final note here: the machine performs the actions in order from top to bottom. Therefore, your cutting step should always be the last, as the material may shift slightly as it falls from the rest of the material, and you don't want that to impact the rest of your artwork. The first project: tracing. The first project I will show you is the easiest. You simply take a piece of material and draw directly on it. Now, the first time I tried this, I thought I would make a smiley face and encountered a small problem. While the proof grade materials are full size for the machine, about 18 by 20 inches, the workable area is 11 by 19.5 inches, and I drew my smiley face on the far left side of the material. As you can see in the preview, that part of the work area is grayed out. My second attempt, I decided to just make a happy little cloud, to quote a famous painter. We start by drawing the cloud directly on the material and place it inside the machine. Next, in the web app, we click the trace button. The app will now guide us through the process. First, it wants us to draw a square around the artwork that we want it to detect. Second, we are to click the white areas on the screen that we want to cut out. So for this project, that would be all the white space outside of the artwork, so we click outside of it. Now we see a purple outline of the drawing representing where the Glowforge will make the cut. Click the Place Artwork button. As you can see, the software has given us two layers for the cloud. There's an engraved layer and a cut layer. The cut layer follows the outer boundary of the artwork, while the engraved layer is offering to engrave everything the marker touched. Now, while the engraved layer might make for an interesting border to the cloud, I'm only interested in the outline. By clicking the layer, then the drop-down button, I can select Ignore, and then the engraved item won't be made. Once you're happy with your selection, click Print. Your first time you will be reminded not to leave the Glowforge unattended, and to be sure that you are venting the fumes outside. As I said in my introduction video for the Glowforge, please make certain you are venting the exhaust from the machine safely outside. You may not think the smell of burning wood is going to be bad, but you're mistaken. Not to mention the potential toxic fumes from other materials. You can be like me and rig up something you can place in the window, buy a portable air conditioning window exhaust kit, or use a permanent venting solution similar to a dryer vent. One note here: it is recommended that your hose leading to the outside be removable when not in use, to prevent outside air from entering the machine. The software will now do some thinking and will eventually give us a completion time estimate. We're now ready to go to the machine itself and push the physical print button. Now, in a brief 18 seconds, the machine will cut out the cloud. We have to stop here for a note. As you can see, the machine did not cut the line that I drew, but another line about 1/4 of an inch off. I have seen this mentioned in videos about earlier review units, and apparently it's still an issue today. I suspect this is why there is a border around the work area where we can't place artwork. I have not looked at the forums yet about this, but part of me thinks this is certainly something that should be fixable eventually by a software update. Now we can open the lid and pull out the cloud. A quick removal of the protective paper, and here we have one happy little cloud to put on a desk, or drill a hole in it for a piece of string to hang it somewhere. The second project, cutting. For both the second and third projects, I will be creating cutouts of my logo. First, I bring the logo into Illustrator and remove the fill from the letters. Next, I set the stroke for the letters so they are now an outline. The Glowforge software tends to auto-suggest that fills be engraves and strokes be cut. Next, I create a box around the name and set the stroke. Finally, I export the artwork as an SVG file. Now, in the Glowforge app, click the upload button and select the SVG file we just exported. As you can see, the artwork layer is here with the setting of cut. You can now move the artwork around the available space and material before printing. When ready, click the print button. After a moment, the software will provide an estimated project time and we're ready to print. Now, just pull the project from the material, carefully remove the cutout letters, and finally peel off the protective coating. The third project, engraving and scoring. Now I would like to show the difference between engraving and scoring. Back in Illustrator, let's add a fill to the letters. If we give them the same fill color and import them into the Glowforge software, the two words will appear as a single piece of artwork, but that's not what I want. By giving the word basement a different fill color, the two words will be separate layers in the software. Once imported, you can see that there are 3 layers all set to cut currently. We can select each layer and change the setting. Basement will be scored, Maker will be etched, and the box will be cut. When ready, click Print. Unlike the cut-only project, this version is going to take 3 minutes longer. Why the difference? Engraving takes much longer than scoring or cutting. A higher quality engraving would take even longer to perform. We can now go to the Glowforge and begin the print. Once the machine is finished, pull out the project and remove the protective coating. The final project, photo engraving. The fourth and final project is also the most potentially aggravating one, and will certainly take a fair amount of trial and error to get a satisfactory result. You will certainly want to do test prints on cheaper materials to limit waste. Essentially, the process is to take the photo you want to etch, convert it to black and white, and then adjust the contrast or levels. Save the image as a JPEG file, and then import it into the Glowforge software. Move the artwork to a free space on your material, and set the engrave setting. I'd recommend starting with draft photo. The preview here does seem to be helpful in suggesting what your final product will look like. This one does not look so good, and if we jump ahead, you'll see that it indeed did not turn out well. So I tried again, this time with an image I found online of Thanos from the recent Avengers movie. This image has a more colorful background than the character, so I thought maybe it would work better. Once again, the preview does not inspire confidence, and the final result was poor. Now, I have done photo engraving before, and it turned out really well, so I thought maybe it was the material I was working on. So I put that plywood into the machine and tried Thanos again, but there was no real difference. Not wanting to give up just yet, I went with the photo of one of the cats. You may have seen him before in an earlier video walking around a workbench in his uniquely helpful manner. The photo looks like it should work better, and perhaps on a higher quality setting it would have. So at this point, I decided to give up. As I said, an earlier attempt had gone very well, so I know it's possible to get good results. There are probably some helpful tips on the Glowforge forums that I should familiarize myself with. I'm certain at some point in the future I will revisit photo engraving as part of a larger project. I hate ending on a sour note, so here is an image of a project I did for my mother's birthday. This is what I love about the Glowforge. Dinner was in the process of being prepared, and inspiration for this struck me. I was able to sit down and design this and have it finished in my hands within about 30 minutes, and that includes the 15-minute print time. Now, I didn't film how I did this, but you can check out the Talk Like a Pirate Day project video for something similar. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed these example projects, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with others. If you've not already subscribed, I encourage you to do so, and if you are a subscriber, make sure you've clicked the bell icon for new video notifications. See you next time, and thanks for watching.